What's going on, team? Proof here, and today I'm coming at you with Andrew's deck list that he used against me, or ZodiacChronos' deck list that he used against me in our PCL match that I put up a few days ago. And the reason I'm getting this to you now is partly because I've just been busy, and partly because I was trying to figure out what kind of layout I wanted to use. I kind of didn't want to do PowerPoint. I wanted to just have something set up with that little more uniform that I can use for future presentations. So let me know what you guys think about it, and let's go and hop into it. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to read off the skills of the cards. I'm just kind of just present which card it is and present their skill, because all the cards are still in Japanese, and kind of talk about what Andrew had in mind when trying to use it. And for standard Gear Chronicle, their main game plan is A, striding, and B, trying to filter their hand out, help enable their grade 4s, either by putting cards from their hand to the bind zone directly, or putting cards from their hand to the drop zone and then putting it to the bind zone. So I'm gonna start with the grade 0s and then go up to the grade 4s. And so for his grade 0s, he had the standard starter. When you ride upon it, you draw a card, and then he played 6 draw because he wanted to have a couple more draws to try to get cards into his hand. That way he have either A, the ability to stride, or have cards that can help enable him to stride as well, or facilitate his bind zone, I should say, to get cards into his bind zone. Excuse me. And 6 crit, and then the 4 heals as well. And it seemed to have been working for him pretty well, but I know he said he's starting to dabble with some other configurations as well. So with the grade 1s, the first card I want to talk about is Steam Fighter Mimine. I think that's how you pronounce it. And he only used 2 of her in our game, but since I've talked to him, he said he's going to think about using more of her, and I can see why, because her skill is really useful to help facilitate your game plan, because you can always just call her out early, and then it's an optional ability because it's once per turn, so you don't have to use it, but it still makes a nice handy booster with a nice utility as well. And then being able to draw a card and put a card from your hand and then discard it to your drop zone, and then maybe finding a way to get that card from your drop zone to your bind zone with some of your other cards is really useful. And then he played Retro Axe Dragon, which is, I think, is a promo card, which means we may not get it in English, but for the purposes of CFA they have all the cards, so why not use them? And this card was kind of used to help put cards to its bind zone directly. It also came at a cost of Counterblast, which isn't used a ton in standard Gear Chronicles outside of your Lost Legend Dragon, so I can see why he might want to use that. It wasn't really useful for him in his testing outside of our game, so he's thinking about putting something else in its place, probably 2 more Mimine. And next up here we have a certified staple in Wedge Move Dragon, and is mainly used for that purpose, but also has that handy on-hit ability to be able to put a card from your hand to the bind zone and draw you a card for that net even, but still facilitating your game plan for your grade 4s. Promptly Worker is such a pain because of the fact that Soul Blast isn't a widely used resource, that you can easily make it to be useful for Promptly Worker here. And then it activates when it's placed down, so then it also helps refill your deck with some of your grade 4s. And since your most Alex going crazy behind me, and since your best grade 4 option is your Mystery Flare Dragon, if you see a lot of them early and you can't get them to the bind zone, but they're in your drop zone, you can put it back to your deck, so you'll be able to get it from your deck to your Vanguard circle without losing that momentum. Because if you saw some of the games from before with Andrew, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd game, I think it was the 3rd game, but he lost a couple Mystery Flares really early to the damage zone, but he was able to heal one back. So with Promptly Worker here, he could have been able to put that card from his deck from his drop zone into his deck if he so chose. So that's why you want to use that. And then it can draw you a card as well if you put a grade 3 or higher, which is really useful to help keep your hand going. For the grade 2s, he played a couple Missing Clamp Dragon just for the guard value. In the future, I think he's going to remove it for a couple more utility cards, because even though it's useful for that shield value, you trying to get the utility out of your pieces means so much more, so he's probably going to dump that out. Nabu here, I hate Nabu. I hate it because it's really good, and I'm jealous I don't have a card like it in Spikes per se, because it's free, it's a guard restrict, and after it attacks and does its thing, it helps facilitate your game plan and you get a net break even for it. So if you have all the 4 circles generated from you striding on top of a Lost Legend, maybe you have a couple stacked up now, you put Nobu on, it attacks for 30,000, it shoves itself into the soul after you prevented your opponent from using grade 1s or greater to stop it. Draw yourself a card, and then you can keep going from there, and it kind of just builds up. And Steam Hunter Lippet here is really good just to help get cards from your drop zone to your bind zone, especially after you've used them for striding purposes, like maybe your extra Lost Legend dragons that are just chilling in your drop zone. You can bind those with Lippet and then be able to get her the power, and then you now add a +3 to your bind count for your upcoming stride. Because the thing that you want to think about is that the stride cards, the grade 4s, they activate when they're placed down, so you can do things in your main phase before you're able to go to pay the cost for the stride ability to happen. So it's definitely something you want to think about as you're setting up your plays, and Lippet can help do that for you. And then we got the engine boy here, Lost Break Dragon. Being able to work on Vanguard and Rearguard just to be able to bind a card from your hand and draw a card is so efficient that there's no reason to play less than 4 of him, in my opinion. And then has just free power just for existing on the Rearguard circle, just for playing the deck how it's supposed to be played. Like, this card is certified staple. Like, definitely use it if you're playing standard Gear Chronicle. I was gonna say talk about premium, but this ain't about premium. For the grade 3s, you're gonna have your main boy here. Andrew played only Lost Legend as his grade 3. There's been talk about playing 1 Gun Guild, I think that's his name, Gun Guild, just to have 5 grade 3s you can ride that are semi-beneficial. 4 Lost Legend, 1 Gun Guild. But you want to definitely be on Lost Legend at some point in time, or otherwise your whole game plan kind of gets shot down. And then being able to use it to stride, and then the Counterblast 2 draw card when it's rolled upon is useful because you don't really have a lot of conflicting costs otherwise in the deck. So you may as well use it for that purpose. Played 1 Idealized Dragon just because it helped fill out his grade 4 count. I think, in my opinion, I would play 6 grade 4s just because as the game happens, you might run out from damage checks and drive checks. So in my opinion, 6 is a nice round number to have, but he played 5. And it's the least important one because you want to be focused on Mystery Flare, but you want to keep what it can do in mind being a board refill for you. And it can be like a situational snipe card to get a problematic rearguard out the way. And then we got the big boy, Big Flare, the main one you're going to be riding on from your deck, I should say. And all of the benchmarks are really useful. The +1 drive to add an extra card to your hand, and an extra drive for that triple drive. Extra critical, which is easy to get for the 7. So as soon as you ride to grade 3 and then to Lost Legend and then stride to Mystery Flare, you can probably be attacking for triple drive with an additional crit, which is really good. And then the 13 or more, just to be able to get 6 cards plus 10,000, and then you can set that up beforehand, like I mentioned with Lippet, as before you go into your grade 4, you can set up your board to get maximum benefit. And then the game ender of the 19 or more, which can happen probably as soon as turn or your 3rd grade 3 turn, I would think, maybe sooner if you just hit all the pieces as you go. Just pretty much just spin the game on its head and turn it out from there. And that's one you're gonna be shooting for, but leading up to it, you might just win beforehand because of how useful the other 3 sides of his benchmarks are. So that'll do it for Andrew's deck. Hope you enjoyed this. Sorry it took me a while to get it out to you guys. I'll be doing this for more of the league matchups as I find some interesting ones that come along. So look out for more then. And until next time, peace. Be easy.